to keep going. So definitely my skills as a hand reader would come in handy. I'll tell you about one marker in the hand, if I can, that I would definitely check if we're going to be doing business with anybody, and it's the fate line. And if you look at the palm of your hand, the fate lines typically run up the middle of the hand or thereabouts. Sometimes they start over on one side, usually the side away from the thumb, and then they go up towards the middle of the hand, and they'll end somewhere pointing towards the middle finger.
Yes.
You probably see them on your hands because you've got them. I'm looking at your prints right now.
I'm looking at my hand right now.
So if I'm going to be in relationship with somebody that I need to trust, I'm relying on this person, and they're taking me up in a jet airplane, and I need them to know what they're doing and to do what they say they're going to do, or any kind of trust relationship, I want that line to be clear and strong. So it's really important for
very nice.
someone who's in a very trust-heavy relationship, that they're able to follow through and that they have a good relationship with completing what they say they're going to do.
Wonderful.
And that's a line that indicates, how do they complete their tasks? How do they start them? How do they finish them? Do they finish them?
Okay.
So fun to look at stuff like that.
We're gonna take a short break, Mikey, and we'll come back in 2 minutes. Hang on for you.
There's no bottom to Mel's. So if you chance to find yourself in eastern Washington and hear the legend of Mel's Hole, be wary, my dear one. Don't ride alone at night on that Manistash Ridge, but listen carefully to the moaning deep within. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. Ghost riders o'er Mel's Hole. The moral of the story in eastern Washington is if you find a deep dark hole, don't tell just anyone. For if you call into Art Bell on Coast to Coast again, you may disappear on a Manistash in the deep dark hole within. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. There's no bottom to Mel's Hole. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. Ghost riders o'er Mel's Hole. There's no bottom to Mel's Hole.
Make sure you listen to The Paranormal Lawyer on Night Dreams Talk Radio, Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're into UFOs, Bigfoot, and all things paranormal, check it out at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
And we
Check out
are
Night
back,
Dreams
ladies
Talk
and
Radio
gentlemen.
on the web at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
And we are back now, folks. Thank you for hanging in there with us on our second hour coming up here on Night Dreams Talk Radio. That's the Paranormal Lawyer right now coming at you, and we have as my guest tonight Michelyn Gjurasic, who is the scientific hand analyst, and we are learning a whole lot about what our own hands tell us about ourselves and others. So let's get back to it. Michelyn, are you back on?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Hey, how you feeling so far? You're doing really well on this show. I really appreciate it.
I'm feeling fine. It's like I'm just talking to my old buddy Michael, and we're just chit-chatting and reminiscing and talking about hands. It's kind of fun. And if there's people out there that are listening and picking up something that's useful for them, then all the better.
Exactly. And that's what I think is a wonderful thing about talk radio is that we kick back on a Saturday night for a few hours and just talk about some interesting subjects. And the folks out there and the rest of the world, they get to tune in and just kind of relax and listen. So I'm sure that a lot of folks are kind of catching on with some of this interesting information that you're relating. Now, so far we've talked about the lifeline in your hand, and then the heart line is the last thing we were talking about. Is that right?
Yeah, and the heart line is also one of the three major lines in the palm, and it's usually on the top of the palm. And it starts underneath the pinky on one edge, and then it runs across, and then ends somewhere either under the middle finger or under the pointer finger. So that's the heart line that I look at when I want to talk to people about emotional style and ask them how their relationships are going.
Oh, yeah, interesting. So that relates to their personal relationships, and or does it relate to their business relationships potentially in the workforce?
Absolutely. Each heartline type has ways that it likes to express itself. It has different ways of processing emotions, and that alone is a big consideration in the office when say people are under stress, there's a big project going on or a big deadline coming up. People are going to react differently to that pressure. And the heartline can go a long way towards explaining how a person is designed to deal with emotional pressure. Do they like to be emotive? Do they like to show their feelings on their face? Or do they cry easily at movies? Or are they more Clint Eastwood type that, kind of keeps things sort of hidden and inside, and you kind of need to guess. And you guess his feelings just because he maybe kind of squints one eye just a little bit. That's not me, right? You look at my face and the emotions are all over the place. You know what I'm feeling in the minute, and I don't usually have a lot of success in hiding what I'm feeling. But, others are not wired that way. So we all have our own style, and, when there's pressure, it's really good to know how you're designed and maybe how your partner or your coworker is designed so that you can avoid having it be harder than it needs to be. That's all. So It all just makes it easier. Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier.
So it would be helpful for folks to maybe have their own hand analyzed just to kind of bring to their conscious some of the subconscious things that they are dealing with that you probably don't really, express very often. So that might be something that would be beneficial for each of us to do, it sounds like.
I think it should be required. I think when we go to school, when we start kindergarten, wouldn't it be great if your kindergarten teacher looked at your heartline, or you handed her a report about your heartline, and you said, this is my emotional style. I need a lot of time alone. I like to work by myself. Partnership and collaboration might be, a little more challenging for me. Or I like to be in charge. Or I like to be spontaneous. Having a set schedule is tough. That kind of information can make or break someone's educational experience. I think we should all know what the 4 basic heart lines are and what ours is and what our partners and coworkers and people that we interact with, what theirs is too. And it's really easy. I mean, it's really easy. I teach this stuff all the time, and it's really simple to look at a heart line and know what the 4 basic styles are. So yeah, I think it's important.
Is there something that you could relate over the radio, just generally, that people would be looking for in their heart line?
You bet. So a heart line, if you follow it from the pinky side over towards the thumb side, and again, this is the upper major line in the hand, and it's going to be relatively straight or relatively curvy.
Yes.
So one of the basic differences, and you can look at your own hand and say, well, does it go straight across, or does it kind of curve up towards the pointer finger or towards the middle finger? And if it's straight, then that is more of a less demonstrative, more reserved emotional style.
Interesting.
Feelings are a little closer to the chest. In fact, they might even be inside. Our emotional processing unit, for a straight heart line, might be buried sort of deep inside of us. So accessing emotions and showing emotions takes a little more work.
Yeah.
So,
well, mine looks to be, I'm looking at it right now, and probably people are looking at their own hands all across the world. Mine seems to be a little curved. It kind of curves up towards the middle of my pointer finger and my middle finger, some way. What kind of input would you give me for that?
Well, curvy lines are more emotional lines. So a heart line that curves up to either the pointer or the middle finger, we call them Jupiter and Saturn in hand analysis. They curve up. These are more emotionally obvious, emotionally apparent heart lines. So people with heart lines like that, like yours and like mine, tend to be more transparent with their feelings.
Yes.
They might be a little easier to get to know in a social situation because they're just a little more out there.
Yes.
They might be more friendly. Doesn't mean that they're a nicer person, but they might come on, a little more assertively or openly. At a party, they're the kind of person that's networking and talking to people and shaking hands and not having any trouble at all connecting with people that they don't know.
Yeah, that's me. That's for sure. I know that, and you would qualify for that as well. It's very easy for you, I think, to make new friendships, even in places where we've never been before. I think we do pretty well in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. I would agree with that, and there is a little caveat. This is just one line in the hand, so I can't say that if you have a curvy heart line, you're always friendly. That's not necessarily true. There are a lot of other lines in the hands that can push someone one way or another on a sort of on the spectrum of openness or emotiveness and transparency and emotions. Yeah, but in general, it's a pretty good indicator of how you're designed, and isn't that great to know?
It would be great to know that, there's a reason why you maybe have a different style of, relationships. That would be kind of cool. I wish I would have known that when I was much younger. Probably would have, I don't know if it would have changed my life, but it would have helped in a lot of situations. So we've got the heart line, we've got the lifeline. Those are just 2 so far. How many lines are we dealing with here, Michelyn, when you actually do all this analysis?
Well, it's quite an extensive database. I'll tell you that I have I've written a book. I'll say I've compiled a book of the database of hands, and it's a complete database of all the markers including fingerprints and hand shape and finger shape and behavior and color and